Welcome. Hello, good afternoon. So today I got you for an hour. Hopefully I will keep it close to time. And what I want to talk about is what I have called vote, rent, to own. So it's obviously a very, very simple juvenile play on the voting season. But I think there's a connection. I think when you look at what we do every day in our stores, I know there's a variety of folks here, from store managers to regionals to owners to a couple ridiculous CPAs in the room. Yeah, why is CPA? I'm just kidding. Our job oftentimes is to garner votes. You know, we have to try to get our teams to want to vote for us by showing up every day engaged. And we have to try to get our customers to vote for us by making a payment. And every week or every month, they can choose to vote with a payment, or they can choose to get off the boat and go make a payment somewhere else. So really what I want to talk about is both those sides. I want to talk about teams and what I believe we can do. Now, the trouble is I've got a lot of orange shirts here that work with me, and they'll probably ooh and ah or coo or yell or say bad things if they think I'm lying to you, so I got to keep it on the straight and narrow. So we're going to start with the teams first, then we're going to move to the customers, and we'll talk about both sides. How do we get our teams to want to vote for us by coming to work engaged every day, and how do we get our customers to vote for us by making a payment? Make sense? All right, first things first. I need 10 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Will you 10 please stand up for me? Sorry, Casey, you sat in the front row. That's what you get, man. So 10 people. Gallup poll. Gallup does polls on everything, right? Gallup poll does a poll every year on employee engagement. Every year. The numbers remain the same. Anybody want to guess the percentage of American workforce that is engaged? 30%. You guys can sit down. No, not you guys. You guys are the 30% engaged. You guys sit down. 30% of the American workforce is engaged. Okay? 50%, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, disengaged. 50% of the American workforce is disengaged. Now, what's that mean? Well, when do we get off? Right? Looking at their watch, doing the minimum possible to get by. Now, what about the other two? What about these? You guys stand up. What about those other two? Turn around, let everybody see you. Actively disengaged. Cancers. These two are cancers. Stay away from them. Go ahead and sit down. Does anybody work with any of those people? Are they sitting next to you? Is their name Fred? No. But that's what we're dealing with. So think of it as owners, as managers, as regionals. If we could get 8 people actively engaged. If we could get 10 people actively engaged. Now, it is a poll, right? And the polls say that so-and-so may become our next president. Gallup can do a poll about anything. Interestingly enough, the numbers are the same as this. 30% of Americans believe in ghosts. Do you guys believe in the supernatural? Okay, sit down. All right, so here's what we're going to do with both audiences. First, we're going to lay this out like a platform. So if you're going to create a campaign, you have to identify who your base is. Oh, it's pretty cool. I got like a picture of some of you guys in this. Oh, how fun is that? That wasn't even planned. There's like 3 of you guys in here. You have to identify your base. You've got to identify the people you're trying to reach. Secondly, we've got to learn about all their issues. We got to know what they're thinking. We have to know what our staffs are thinking. Chris Kale knows what his staff's thinking, don't you, Chris? Exactly. We have to know what they're thinking. We have to poll them. We have to ask. You know, we can't think we know without asking. We can't be too far away from it and really not know, and everything comes third person. And then we have to craft a message. We have to craft a message, a sales pitch, a motto, to get their attention. So there is going to be a punchline at the end of each one of these with a message. So if we start with the team first, like I said, you got to get them drinking the Kool-Aid. That's why that guy's up there. It's all about drinking the Kool-Aid. 30% of workforce today is engaged. I don't know who I stole this quote from. I steal quotes from everybody, and then I forget who it is, and I don't give them credit. But as companies, as managers, as regional managers, we must treat our teams better than we treat our best customers. Anybody disagree with that? Anybody don't believe if your teams aren't being treated well, they're not going to treat your customers well? Direct, absolutely a direct effect. And we got to get them drinking the Kool-Aid. Now, that's a Jim Jones reference, and it's a little bit crazy and sadistic, but it's true. We got to get people drinking the Kool-Aid. I believe only people that can be successful in this industry are people that believe in rent-to-own the business and then your company's culture, which ours is rent-to-own, the number. So you got to believe in rent-to-own, and you got to believe in the company you work for. If people work in this industry and they don't believe in rent-to-own the industry, they'll never be successful, ever be successful. And I don't think that's something we can change too far into it. So, but we have to, as an industry, as leaders in this industry, get people bought into what we do and how it works for consumers, how much consumers really love it. I think that's part of getting this started. Then we have to identify our base. Can you two stand up and make that pose? Just like that. Tamika will. Chrissy, stand up. There it is, right there. That's the base. So we have to identify who our base is. And I show this picture on purpose because it's cool, but I got manager, I got new manager, I got delivery, I got accounts. And I think sometimes in this business, I've seen lots of owners and interacted with a lot of owners, and they think the base is the store manager. That's just the start. The base is the whole team. So we got to make sure that the message we're crafting is relevant to everybody. And how many people have tried to create a bonus plan for a rent-to-own store? Raise your hand. Anybody ever tried to create a bonus plan for a rent-to-own store? Raise your hands and raise it high. So there's a few people. How hard is it to create a bonus plan for delivery guys? Has anybody ever shook their head like, man, I just can't do that? But we got to figure out ways to include everybody on the team and know who that whole audience is to make it work. Once we identify our base, we have to determine the issues, okay? So we have to be able to determine what do they want? What are the buttons? What's important? You can't craft a message if you haven't done your research. So one of my favorite questions, and you guys can confirm this, one of my favorite questions is this. What do you want? Have I ever asked you that question? Yeah. Remember what you told me? He didn't tell me that. And I actually always talk about him when I do this presentation. I had no idea he was going to be sitting here. He said, I want to make enough money so my wife doesn't have to work. And I said, well, let's figure that out. And we did. And then his wife kept working so they could go on cool vacations. But my point is, I ask that question all the time. What do you want? What do you want? And usually I get this question back. What do you mean? And I say, well, I'm not qualifying. I just really want to know what you want. Like, what do you want? And I think it's a tough question to answer because I was with a friend the other day and they asked me that question. I'm like, no, that's my question. You can't ask me that. But being willing to really ask what people want and listen. You know, the gentleman from England talked about surveying employees and customers, and we try to do that. We do a 14-day call with our customers. I stole that from David Kramer. And, you know, we do a lot of things to try to consistently get feedback about what our teams want. So when we ask the question over and over and over and over and over again, these are the 5 things we heard. These are the 5 things that I believe, based on conversations, that my team wants. Clear expectations and goals. Where do I stand? What do you expect from me? Where do you expect? What's success look like? Great environment to work in. Great communication. That's the one we suck the most at. Job security and growth. Anybody disagree with any of those as being pretty important? If you would you say it in front of everybody? No, you're shaking your head no, so I like you. Okay? Those 5 things, I believe, based on my experience, that's what most people want. So let's take them one at a time. Oh, my gosh. Sorry. I told you shouldn't have come. This is my friend Diane Smalley. That's my friend Diane Smalley. Diane, how many years have you worked in rent-to-own? 28 and a half years. She was my father's first employee. And now she's got a son that runs a store, another son that used to work for us. And, here's what I believe about clear expectations and goals. There's several things. One, I think we have to start people right. We have to start people from the go in this business right. Day one has to be awesome. Day one has to be clear with expectations. Day one they have to know what their job is. They have to know what we want from them. And I think we have to set goals, but we have to stay on course. Because one of the mistakes we make in our company is we do pretty well early on, and then we kind of lose touch. You get a salesperson who does really well. You get a collector who closes a route, and we kind of get hands off. And that training that happens like after the 90th day, year one, maybe 18 months, 2 years, gets a little lackluster. And we believe we got to start right, but we got to stay right with that communication. Take the time and ask, how you doing? What do you think? What do you think? I believe when an employee starts with us, just had this conversation a few minutes earlier with somebody a manager who just had a new employee start. And I said, well, how's she doing? And he said, I think she's doing fine. I said, does she like it? He goes, I don't know. I said, ask her. Our job when we hire people is to win them over as much as them winning us over. And I think sometimes we don't think that sales job still is required. When we hire a new person, if we want them to believe in rent-to-own and in our companies, then we got to make sure we're still selling. We have to sell the industry when they walk in. There's a lot of people that start in this business that have no idea what they're getting into. And it's hard, and it's dirty, and it's difficult. And if we don't continue to sell it, it's going to be hard to convince people to stay engaged. I believe we have to have big, hairy, audacious goals. You don't think we do? There we go. I like that lady. You know, so that's from Built to Last, the Jim Collins book, but that's why I have Diane's picture up here. Diane had a goal in early 2015 to run a $2 million store. So on 12/27/2015, she sent me that picture. You know, and when you have a goal that big, when you have a goal that daunting, maybe when you set it out there, it may be hard, but it sure is fun to chase. You know, it's a lot more fun to chase than a Saturday close. You know, or a lot more fun to chase than growth today. And I think sometimes in this industry, we look at a lot of numbers, and my gosh, if you work for me, you'd be number crazy. But we look at so many short-term goals, we don't look at those big, big long-term goals like she did and was so successful with. I believe we have to keep score. I believe you can't have clear expectations. You're never going to achieve goals if you don't keep score every day. You know, we have a scoreboard that comes out every night. It goes to all of our managers at 8:56 p.m. And the scoreboard has every store's score for the day. It has the top 32 salespeople. It has the top 32 collectors. It's got whatever other contest we're running, and we keep score every day. Every day. And the interesting thing is those scoreboards are easily accessible, so everybody always checks out everybody else's score. I think it's mostly healthy competition, but maybe not. But I believe we have to keep score. And then the last piece I think about expectations and goals is there's always got to be absolute, unequivocal clarity in the calculations. And I say that because I think that we use numbers like yield, and we use percent collected, and we use closed numbers, and we talk about gross margin, and all these things we throw out are R2O vernacular that people don't understand. And we got to make sure that we explain not just the what's, but the whys behind why we want percent collected at 92% every month, and why we want our APA to be higher. And sometimes we just let that stuff roll off our tongues, and we don't explain the why. And people just kind of, okay, and they're not going to tell you what they don't know. So I think that's very important. We need to have a great work environment. What about that Halloween costume? You can steal that if you want. If you steal anything from me, get a couple collectors to dress up like door hangers for Halloween. It's a pretty, Chris, you like that, don't you, Chris Cale Jr.? That's good. You're going to do that. Those were great. Aren't those great Halloween costumes? It's got to be a great work environment, because guess what? This job is hard. Sales job's hard. You got to get people to walk in and want to buy something from us, and you may not have good traffic. Collection job is hard because you got to get people to pay, and they don't want to pay you. They don't want to give up their money. They're hard to get a hold of. Delivery job's hard. It's physically demanding. The job is hard. All 3 jobs in most rent-to-own stores are really hard. And as a manager, it's like herding cats sometimes, right? So we have to make sure we understand that job is hard. We have to do everything we can to make that environment fun. I think fun and productive go hand in hand. I think it becomes productive when we have great respect and trust and leadership in stores. And we got to hire, and we got to develop, and we got to train, and we got to set expectations for our leaders to be respectful and create a trustworthy environment. I also believe we have to have autonomy in the work. I believe we have to give people guidelines and freedom to make decisions within those guidelines, the ability to think. I think when folks are given the ability to think and come up with solutions to their own decisions, they can do some pretty cool things. Quick story. So one of the things we make the mistake of as parents, do I have any parents in the room? Right. Is helicopter momming our kids. I'm not a mom, but I think I did that, right? You know, where we do everything, and I think we're just as responsible for the entitlement generation as we blame everybody else for. So I've got a 14-year-old son. Anybody with 14, 13, 14-year-old kids in the room? So I've done everything for that poor boy for 14 years, and I don't think he could tie his shoes. But it scares me to death that in 2 years he's going to want to drive a car. So I'm a little bit freaked out. So over the last 4 or 5 months, I've tried to make him do everything, and he just hates it. He's like, Dad, what? I'm like, figure it out. Figure it out. So the other day, he goes to mow the grass for the first time. Gets the mower, pulls the mower physically out of the garage and goes to start it, and it doesn't start. He goes, Dad, what do I do? I said, Google it. You're on your damn phone all the time. It's true. So he did. He said it might be the battery. Okay. He said, well, now what do I do? Well, Google that. So he did. He goes, it says we should jump it. How do we do that? I'm like, oh my God, when I was like 12, I would know how to use jumper cables. So I get out the jumper cables. I mean, every baby boomer has jumper cables in their car. I'm a Gen Xer, I'm not a baby boomer. And so I get the jumper cables out and I hand them to him. And he looked at them like, what is this? How does this work? I thought he was going to put them on his ears or something. And the story even gets better. And so I showed him, and I taught him. He put it on the positive, and put it on. But before that, I pulled the truck around, pulled the truck up to it, and I'm like, all right, buddy, pop the hood. He goes, what? I said, pop the hood. He goes in there, and he finds the lever, and he pulls it. But this was the worst. So then he had to find that release lever, right? And on every vehicle, it's somewhere different. It is a little hard for everybody to find. I guarantee it took him 7 minutes to find it. He was all over the place. So anyway, I tell you that because I think as business owners and managers and regionals and parents, we give the answer as opposed to leaving that room to allow people to fail, to allow people to learn, to allow people to find their own way. And I think that autonomy in the job creates real connection. And the last thing is I think people got to win. I think it's a great environment when we win. Don, would you agree with that? Winning is fun. I agree with Charlie Sheen on this one. I mean, winning is fun. And one of the best quotes I heard in the last couple years, and he's not very quote-worthy, was Jack Nicklaus, the greatest golfer of all time, hailing from Ohio. Jack Nicklaus was interviewed 1.5 years ago when Jordan Spieth was on his run of winning everything. And they asked Jack Nicklaus, they said, Jack, what do you think makes Jordan so good? This was before he blew it at the Masters, right? And he said, Jordan's confident. And confidence breeds winning. And then winning breeds winning. And then he walked off. He dropped the mic. And he walked off the stage. But there's a lot of truth to that. You get momentum in this business, and this business can be fun. You get momentum in this business, and winning is fun. And I think we have to create a winning culture. We have to create a winning environment. When we do that, things just flow. Communication. We're terrible at it. Our company is awful at communication. I think most companies in America are awful at communication. This is an example of a communication board we have in one of our stores. I think it's pretty well done. On the left, you'll find, actually over here you can't even see, is 33 ways to grow your business today and 33 ways to help collections. This is their daily report. This is the scoreboard that was printed the day before. This is this month's promotion. I have no idea what that is. That's an email that marketing sent. This is their 15 goals, last month's recap, this month's bonus. It's a start. This is a great start to communicating everything we want in a store. But we still struggle. We still struggle in many ways with communication. I think there's so many different ways to improve it. There's problems from home office to store communication. There's huge breakdowns. Well, I sent them an email. Trent, how many times have you said that? As opposed to no email Friday, right? I like that. My good friend Trent blind copies me on many emails throughout the months, throughout the days, and he sent one the other day. They had a no email Friday where nobody from the home office could send emails to the stores so they could focus on work. Great idea. I don't think it helps communication, but actually it probably does because maybe they look, they know when to look. But, our store folks aren't sitting at a computer answering emails. And we can't think from the home office that I fired off an email and it's done. The comedy crew this morning, the one slide they had is phone, text, and they had the joke about the conference call. There's problems with all that stuff. There's problems with, so in the end, we got to do it all. We got to think about all different ways to communicate. One of the best ways we're communicating now, there's two ways we've improved some communication. One idea I'll give you. All the delivery books, 95% of the delivery books are gone in our stores. We now use Google Calendar for all of our delivery books. Because we had bad communication from stores to delivery guys to auto pays, what was done, who's doing what. So every delivery now gets put on the Google Calendar, and it's shared with our delivery teams, shared with everybody in the store. So you add another delivery to the book, the delivery guys who are on a delivery out somewhere else knows it's been added. They can look at their phones before they come to work and know what kind of day they got. They don't have to come and photocopy the book and know where to go. There's a lot of stores that put their store vacations on here, their auto runs, things like that, all on this one calendar, so it's not written on a piece of paper and go look at that, and everything's always kept here too. This has really helped some communication from a delivery side. The second thing we've done internally that I think has been a phenomenal communication tool is this. Closed Facebook communications group. So we have a rent-to-own communications Facebook page, a closed group. You can post something on here, and it's seen by 100 people in an hour. I've never seen an email been seen by 100 people in an hour. And so we post ideas on here. We post display ideas on here. People post, I'm looking for a beat-up, jacked-up washer. Do you got one? There's lots of ways we communicate. Great idea internally to have a great forum for people to share ideas. And again, they're not at a desktop, but they got their device within arm's reach. So another tool. Is there an answer to communication in rent-to-own? No. So we got to do it all. We have to continue to find ways to enrich that communication. Job security. One of those 5 things I believe that's important is job security. I think that when we hire folks, they want to know the company's going to be around for a while. We've been around for 30 years. I think being very transparent about your company's revenues and growth and where you stand and good times and bad times and sharing that information, I think is critical. I put on here we never sold a store until we did. We had never sold a store for 29 years and did last year. It was a valuable lesson, but I think it was, how nice it was to say, we've been here for 30 years, and we've opened 33 stores, and we've never closed a store. And then I had to change that whole tune. But I think it made a different security message, which was, I'm going to keep everybody else secure by doing the right thing. And I think as long as we're transparent and as long as we communicate those things, again, this is probably the best piece of advice on this slide. It ties back to the communication issue, but when there are voids in communication, which they fall between stores, they fall between departments, they fall between home office and stores, they fall between stores and customers. It's filled with negativity. It's filled with rumors. People make stuff up. And so one of the things I know we have to do is we have to communicate who we are, how long we've been here, what our expectations are of the future. And the more we do that, I think the more people, have another sip of their hey Kool-Aid. Last thing, I think, last thing, growth. People want to grow. I think everybody that is a manager has to be able to answer this question. What do I need to do to make more money? I think you cannot be afraid of that question. Love it. Love it. Love that question. What do I need to do to make more money? Okay. Give me a second. Here you go. Here's what you need to do. Actually, there's people, you asked me that the other day. I said, here you go. You took a screenshot of it and you kept it, right? 91% of our managers were promoted from within. 91%. That's all but 2. And that's purposeful. I can teach rent to own, but I can't teach culture. That's something that takes time. Takes a little days, months, weeks, So promoting from within creates that growth stream I think people look up to. I think it's extremely important. I think we have to have positional growth. One of the things Leo said in the class earlier, he said, whether you're a 30-year delivery guy or whether you're somebody who works your way up through the system, I don't care, both is great. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think we have people that have been with us a long time doing deliveries. I think of a guy, Rob Hetty, who's been on a delivery truck for 17 years. And if I think we can make those jobs great if we keep providing opportunities for growth within that position. That growth is learning opportunities. That growth is maybe training opportunities where he trains somebody else. That growth is different types of promotions that gets him involved. And I think sometimes we look at growth as just being a path to manager or regional manager when growth could just exist right in that certain position. Sometimes you got to be creative with that, but there's an opportunity for that. All right, that's the employee side. But what I said is you got to craft a message. So if you craft a message, you got to make a T-shirt. So I made a T-shirt. That's my message. So this is our internal message based on those things I just talked about. Fear the 2, the number 2, rent to own, if you can see my logo. Fear the 2, save our environment. Okay? And this is what that stands for. We're going to operate like a family. We're going to empower people to make decisions or open the latch on the Ford F-150, whatever it is. We're going to create advancement opportunities, whether it's through pay, whether it's through job position, and we're going to give recognition wherever we can. So look at these. So let's move on to the customers. So we get that right, then we can deal with this. Jim Collins, first who, then what? First who, then what? Now let's figure out what we're going to do now that we've established that we can get a crew that are willing to be engaged more than those 3 people. Maybe we can get 8. Maybe we can get 8 people really, really engaged. So I believe, and have said this for years, that the issue in this business is about churn, is about customer churn. It's about us retaining customers, not acquiring customers. Every week our customers choose to cast a ballot for us, or they choose not to. They go late, and they go rent somewhere else, or just return their stuff and don't do anything for a while. They make that choice every week. Our best growth, don't judge me on this because you were close, but our best growth last year, in the last 2 years combined, was in a store that is 3 miles from one store and 4 miles from another. Why do you think? Well, people, that is one reason. Yeah, we had great staff there, right? Let me tell you the other thing. We picked up the customers the other 2 stores lost. There was a gentleman in this business years and years ago by the name of Toby McKenzie. Anybody remember that name? Dan does, yeah. Right? What did he do when he opened stores? He opened 2. One under one name, one under the other. Why? So he could get the churn. So he could catch the churn. You don't want to rent there? Rent there. That's fine. I don't care. So there's truth to that. The customers are going to keep leaving because they don't want to pay you 2 weeks. They'll go down there and pay a week. So we have to address the churn. We have to do things to address the churn. We have to evaluate our customers. We have to identify why they're leaving. We got to address the churn. Understand, 25.32% are renting somewhere else. You might say, Mike, where'd you get that number? I polled my customers. Once a quarter, we poll our customers. 957 responses. 25.32 are renting somewhere else. Does that surprise anybody in the room? Not a one of you, does it? 1 of every 4 people that walk in your store today is renting somewhere else. That's a problem. We got to identify how to stop that. So here's the plan. We got to identify first who the base is. Here's a couple examples. Do you remember what this guy's name is? Phil Smith. Very good. Phil Smith on the right proposed to his wife in our rent-to-own store. Rented some rings, got the rings, got on a knee. Love that. This is Joyce Brown. Joyce Brown rented a TV. The TV blew up. Must have been a ghost. How those TVs just blow up? Anybody else have TVs just blow up? Oh, man, it just went poof. Screen just cracked. Yeah. Woo. But she had the club. So we had to replace it. Then I had a manager that didn't want to replace it because he was afraid of having high remaining costs, and he didn't want it to cost the store. And it stayed on the service list for like 60 days and 90 days. And eventually I called him up. I said, dude, you got a brand new smart TV in your store. You're going to take it to Joyce. And you're going to give her the TV you owe her. And you're going to take a picture so I know you did it. And so that's where that picture came from. Joyce doesn't look happy, but I know deep down inside she is. So, we got to know who our customer is. Now, I also believe, and I think I'm jumping ahead of myself, and I've always said this, there's lots of classes you'll go to at APRO for years and years and years, and people, we got to find a new customer, we got to find a new customer, we got to find a new customer. I'd love to find more customers, but I think we got to keep the ones we got, and I think we have to find new products for our customers. It's easier to find products for your customers than it is to find customers for your products. Again, I have no idea where I stole that, but that's not mine. But it's true. It's much easier to find products for our customers than customers for our products. So I asked the customers. I asked them all. I asked them a ton of questions. 957 people responded. And then, we run into customers here and there, and we ask them more questions. So we got to poll our customers to figure out what they want. Here's what we found out. These are the 4 things our customers want. The first one's pretty interesting. Like, you're thinking, why the hell would he put low rates up there? So we asked the customers, which of the following benefits about renting to own is most important to you? No obligation, free service, free delivery, no large down payment, no credit check, 120 or 180 days same as cash, or low weekly payments. Low weekly payments, 40.75%. No obligation, 7%. Free service, 1%. Free delivery, 2%. It's dramatic. Like all that stuff we put on our windows, they don't really care. They just want cheap stuff. They want really nice products at really cheap rates. Anybody disagree with that? The nicest products you can give them at really, really low rates. That's what they want. They want to be treated well. They want their stuff taken care of. And they want choice. They want to be able to get what they want. That's what they told me. So let's talk about low rates. Just lower all your prices. Mark, just lower all your prices. Everything will be great. Yeah? Good stuff. I'll give you a couple things with pricing. Low prices, low rates absolutely drive traffic. But you got to use it to drive traffic. And then you've got to be able to draw them in with low rates and add on and bundle and build up. If you're strong enough from a sales perspective to draw them in with low rates and then sell them something better, and I'm not saying stepping them up, but I'm saying bundling, adding to those agreements, then it works. We did a $10 sale a couple years ago. It was the 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 sale. I think there was an extra 10 in there. It was on the 10th day of October. We did 10 items for $10 and gave away 10 items. So it was the 10, 10, 10, 10 sale. And it was the best day we ever had. A one-day sale we ever had. One of the reasons I think is because it was so dang simple. We just had 10 things that were $10 a week. And it worked. But the other thing we found is customers like bundles. They like value in bundles, and obviously the big guys, Rack and Aaron's, do that a lot, and we do it a lot. And we did a big bundle sale April 1st and 2nd, we did $20, $30, and $40 bundles. I took the $40 bundles off here because it didn't work. But we did $20 and $30 bundles, and it was really value priced. I mean, was significant discounts, and that 2 days was the best 2 days we've ever had in our company's history. Value bundles, value low weekly rates. Customers see value in it. Guess what our next sale is going to be? BYOB, build your own bundle. You like it, don't you? It's good. We may give away koozies or something. Build your own bundle. I think we have to beat the competition because if you think that 25.32% are renting somewhere else, why? I think there's two main reasons they're renting somewhere else. One is because they had a lower price. If their most important thing is rates, and Casey's doing laundry for $61 a month back in May, they're not going to rent laundry for me at $80 a month. They don't like me that much because rates are the most important. They don't like me $20 worth. My wife might, but not many. No, I don't think any. Well, I think she does. I think today she does. Right now, I think she does. So we have to match that. Anybody doesn't think, I think forever. I think I've heard my dad say, when we worked together for 2 years, I think he said, we don't have to be the cheapest in town. We can get anybody with a couple extra dollars. Rates are the most important. So I think we all have to be, that's why they're renting there. Aaron specifically had a guy that went to work as a delivery guy for Aaron's, and then he came back to work for me. And this is very subjective, right? And I said, Brandon, what'd you deliver a lot of at Aaron's? And he goes, appliances. And I said, guess my appliance prices are too high. I guess they're not going to pay $80. He's like, man, all we did was appliances. Oh, didn't he? Yeah. And I thought that, of course they'll pay $20 extra. But the other side of it is we need to keep the rates as high as we can so we can make great gross margins. So good luck with all that. It's a balance. Second thing is we got to treat customers well. They expect us to know their name. The transaction is very different than any other transaction in the world. There's really nothing like rent to own, man. Where Anna Fent, Diane's customer, comes in every Friday between 4 and 6 o'clock. For the last 29 years, she's walked in that store in that hour. 29 years times 52 weeks, it's crazy, the relationship we can have with our customers. We need to leverage that because there's a lot of companies that don't. I'm loyal to 3 companies. Well, 4 if I consider rent to own, but that's different, right? I'm loyal as a consumer to 3 companies. One is Amazon. Why? Because it's easy. I make money on that Prime membership, but they're trying to get me to switch to Amazon Business, and I'm skeptical. I don't want to lose anything. So I'm very, very loyal to Amazon because it's easy. Secondly, I'm very loyal to Starbucks because it's good. Addicted. Absolutely addicted. Starbucks and Red Man, my only 2 addictions. Ooh, I shouldn't have told you that. Third thing, I'm loyal to IHG, Holiday Inn, because I'm a loyal member, I get perks. So let's translate that to rent to own. Why are people loyal to Full of Pep, to American? Why are people loyal to National? What are we doing to make them loyal? Are we rewarding them like IHG does to me? Like every time I stay at a Holiday Inn Express, I get smarter. But other than that was a joke. Come on. You guys, after lunch. But every time I get a survey back, and the first question is, did they treat you like a platinum member? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And are you treating your platinum members like platinum members when they walk in your store? Who's your platinum members? What? Well, good answer. Man, good answer. There you go. There you go. But let me address the Amazon thing real quick. I think that's something we need to all think about. Because when we think about our transaction, we think about the customer engagement. We think about the loyalty, and we think about connecting, and we think about knowing their name. But one of the things we have to improve is we got to improve the ease of transaction. We got to take everything in our transaction, this is for you guys, I guess, in our transaction that is clunky, like the order form process and the verification process and calling references and all that stuff, taking a pen out and a pad of paper and writing down stuff. Like, who writes down stuff anymore? And we got to take all that stuff and we got to take it out because our transaction is not easy. It's really clunky. And the people that like Amazon because it's clean and easy won't like our transaction at all. So that's the kind of customer we're probably dealing with. I believe we got to explain stuff better in the beginning. Our sales folks, you know, I like to say that every job in our company is the most important. But I've changed my tune, and I believe our salespeople are the most important. Nothing starts until we make a sale, but other thing, they can screw everything up if they don't do a good job. They can get somebody not due on the right due date. They can get somebody something that's out of their budget. They can get the wrong address, so we deliver to the wrong house. They can not get an email address. They can not get the right phone number. They can do a lot of things that either make the thing work or make it fail. So this, real attention on this is going to make our lives easier, is going to make our stores operate better. I think we need to be more transparent with our customers. I mean, what's the most common phone call to a rent-to-own store? Somebody calls in and they ask, how much is my payment? Does that ever happen? Do you think that's happening right now? Yeah. Or they ask, how much is my payoff? Right? Or my favorite one is, what time do you close? Right? Take those three questions out, and that's probably 50% of the phone calls. Right? Everybody's nodding their head. Right? Well, they can find what time you close on the internet, I think. But now we send a monthly summary to all of our customers, not an invoice, it's a summary that shows them exactly where they are in each agreement, how much their next payment is, and they get it on the 28th of every month. We've been doing it about 6 months. They respond to it, they love it. It just keeps them engaged in what they're doing. We got to do what we say we're going to do. We got to don't threaten or bomb. By that I mean the way we collect. You know, somebody just asked me that earlier, they went to the collections thing and they said, can I call somebody 8 times a day? I said, you can, but not if you want them to pay you. You know, I mean, just the way we brought on texting really heavy in collections, and we really brought it on heavy. And we were just really bombarding customers. But then we know if we treat customers well, we can turn them into a promoter, which is why we've created our own promoter program. Now, this is fresh off the idea truck, but I freaking love it. So I'm sitting at Bob Evans. I probably could say Frisch's. I usually say Frisch's, and people are like, what are Frisch's? But let's just call it Bob Evans. Sitting at Bob Evans having lunch, this lady comes up, and she goes, which one of them you work at? You've had that, right? And I said, all of them? I didn't know whether it was going to be good or bad. And she goes, well, I rent from the one in Chillicothe, which is the one she manages, so that's good. And they're awesome. I said, oh, yeah, I never get this. Because literally a week and a half ago, I'm getting my hair cut at Great Clips, and the lady goes, which one of them you work at? And I go, all of them? And she goes, well, I rented from the one in Wilmington. It was before you were there. And they're awful. I'm like, oh, really? Why? Listen to what she said. She said, they rented me a bunch of stuff they knew I couldn't afford, and then they kept calling me to try to get me to pay for it, and it was just awful. Listen to that played back. Like this is how she thought. They rented me a bunch of stuff they knew I couldn't afford, and then they kept calling me and bugging me and wanting me to pay for it. She blamed us for renting her too much stuff. Now, it's easy to say, well, she's crazy, but I think there's something in there. So anyway, we're sitting at Bob Evans, and this lady, the waitress, Tiffany, and she says, I love you guys. And I look at the regional manager, having lunch with them, like, we need her working for us. Because everybody works at this Bob Evans is a customer. So we started talking about it, and we said, everybody I know sells Avon or Avocare or Scentsy candles, or why can't they sell rent-to-own? Why can't we create a team of independent representatives that sell rent-to-own? So today we have 85 independent rent-to-own representatives signed up. And those independent rent-to-own representatives sign a contract in exchange for giving us, they're required to give us 3 new customers a month. For that, we're going to give them 20% off of everything they rent from us. They have to post 3 postings, 1 a week, I think, in Facebook. They have to put a sticker on the back of their car. They have to wear the t-shirt loud and proud. This is one of the postings. Cheryl Daly. Okay, peeps, Mother's Day is right around the corner. Don't know what to get the wonderful women. So this is customers working for us on Facebook with all their friends. We'll see. Ask me next year. Anybody had a referral program in this room that ever worked? Well, it's funny that your son raised his hand and you shook your head no. I don't really understand that. There's a dynamic going on there. But we'll see. I think if we create this wonderful, engaged customer, they'll work for us. Why wouldn't they? So it's pretty cool. They want their stuff taken care of. So when there's a problem with the product, we got to fix it. I learned this from my friend Dan Cole. I've quoted him for the last 10 years. He said, we will never lose a customer because of a product issue. And I say the same thing. I think it was like Little Rock, some little bitty room, you had a microphone and you said that. Never forget it. We will never lose a customer because of a product issue. We have a lot of products sitting around our store. They're not winning customers or keeping customers. Our motto is when in doubt, we switch it out. When in doubt, we switch the product out. We give them something different. We are not going to let a product stand in the way. We're going to take care of that. We're going to make sure there's no issues making payments. And by that, I mean they got their login if they want to pay on time. We save their credit card if they want to pay via text. We got them due on the right date. God forbid we don't have 4 agreements and one's biweekly and one's monthly and one's weekly and they try to go pay online and they can't. I mean, it's a mess. They can't have an issue making a payment. That's something we do. And then we got to make all the benefits we have. This is a customer redeeming points for his Applebee's gift card because we give customers points for making on-time payments. And we found in the survey that's one of the things they like most about renting from us is we reward their behavior, kind of like IHG. And they want that to be easy. We need to make every option we have to be as easy as possible. Choices. One of the things Leo said earlier in the room, he said we wanted to reduce inventory and increase selection. And I think that's what we have to do as well. Last year, our furniture business in a 30-year-old company with no new stores grew 18%, merely because we improved selection. We gave them more choices. We put in the ability to get product. We got it within 5 days. We delivered to the customer exactly what they wanted. The keep rate was twice as high as the furniture we used to buy and hope we got right for the customer who wanted it. It's a big deal. I mean, this is a strong enough number that it makes me have to figure out every other category. How do I expand selection? Because one of the things we've done in rent to own is we have such a minimal selection of product. You know, here's your 4,000 square foot store stuff. Good luck. You know, now we have high expectations. We want to deliver. If we want to deliver it within 24 hours or 48 hours at the latest, we can't show that much. We got to do everything we can to have choices. I believe this is why 25% of our customers rent somewhere else. Because they make a payment, ding, 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 ding. They turn around, they walk out, they look to the right, they look to the left, they don't see a black fridge, so they walk out and they go look and see what Rack has or Aaron's has or UHR has or Bolin Rental Purchase has, because you don't have it. And you might think, well, I would get it for them, right? I mean, you'd get it for them if they wanted it, but they're not going to ask. In this same survey, we asked customers, what product would you like us to carry that we don't currently offer? Anybody want to guess what they said? They said memory foam mattresses, adjustable beds, side-by-side refrigerators, French door refrigerators, gas stoves, and the list goes on. But the interesting thing about the list, it's all stuff we carry. They just didn't know. So we might have selection. Our customers just don't know. They just don't know the selection we do have. So I'm not Rent and Roll. I'm not R&R Tire Express. But I do believe it's easier for us to find products for our customers than customers for our products. And our customers need these without question. So providing selection, providing what our customers want, we've found a way we believe that we can offer them in a way that works for both of us. In a price that makes sense for our customers, in a program that makes real good sense for us. And I think this is just another example of a way we can fill a need in a profitable way. If we continue to ask customers, what do you want? What do you want? You ask a customer in a store, what do you want? They're going to tell you this, a car and a house. And that's what most of and cash. if I could rent you anything in the world, what would you want? And they would say a car, cash, a house. Now, most of us haven't figured all those things out, even though we have payday lenders and some rent-own car guys. But we know that customers need this type of thing. We have to find a way to make it work. Whether I've got it figured out or not, I'll let you know again in 6 months. But if we can find ways to make some of these non-traditional products work in a rent-own environment, we can be more successful. So I made another t-shirt. I got more of these. I don't know why. So I need another tagline for my customers. So here's my customer tagline. Are you ready? So we got nice. We're going to treat our customers like family. We're going to be agile. We're going to work with our customers. We're going to work for our customers. We're going to have the services we provide are going to be easy to use. We're going to fix the customer before we fix the product. We're going to have great selection where we get customers whatever they want as fast as possible. And we're going to be very respectful, very gracious, and thank them for their business every time they shop with us, because they could choose to go anywhere else. But by making a payment with us, they're casting a ballot, they're casting a vote, and not one of the 25% that are potentially renting somewhere else. Look at those pants, man. I had to show that picture. So I guess in summary, the question is, how do we win? How do we win? How do we win that vote every week or every month? This is my store of the year. Sorry, dude. Sorry, man. Store of the year from our annual meeting. And I think it's a magical combination of the two things I talked about. It is first who, then what. It is first that team. How do we get more than those 3 people engaged? I can tell you that the difference in this band of misfits from Athens, Ohio, about 90 miles that way, than a lot of the other stores in my company. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 out of 10 engaged. Everybody standing up was engaged. Would you guys disagree with that? It was powerful. Absolutely powerful. Hope you had a good time. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks. Have a great day.